Good morning. I would like to welcome everyone to this meeting today and to welcome all members of council that are in attendance this morning. Welcome to all of our staff that will provide us facts and information so we can make decisions in the best interest of the Corporation of Ashfield-Colborne-Wawanosh and all of our permanent and seasonal residents. Also welcome. It's great to see so many people here this morning. Welcome to all members of the public that are joining us and to the media that may be joining us also. Meetings of council are live streamed on the Township's official website in accordance with the live streaming and virtual participation of meetings policy. Do any members of council have a pecuniary interest or general nature thereof to indicate today of any agenda item that we have? Thank you. We do have a set of minutes from the 8th of April, and I would entertain a mover and a seconder for the adoption of these minutes, please. And that would be Deputy Mayor Vanstone and Councillor Hickey, that Ashfield-Colborne-Wawanosh Township Council hereby adopts the April 8, 2025 council meeting minutes as written. Are there any questions on these minutes? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion? And that is carried. Thank you. Open forum is an opportunity for any members of the public to make any comments that they would care to regarding any agenda item that we have today. And if anyone would like to make any comments, please go to the microphone, introduce your first and last name and your comments, and cite the agenda item, please. Nothing? Okay, thank you. Today is a great day. The sun is shining. We're at the right end of the season, and we'll have better more days like this ahead of us. And it is an absolute pleasure for Ashfield-Colborne-Wawanosh to recognize our volunteer recognition awards today. These awards are to recognize a community group and an individual that has made significant contributions to the ACW community. And council today will present two awards at our meeting. The Outstanding Community Group Award, and then following that will be the Outstanding Individual Award. So starting with the first award, the Township of Ashfield-Colborne-Wawanosh recognizes and honors the achievements and contributions of community volunteers. We have so many great volunteers in ACW, and we could not absolutely accomplish what we do without volunteers. And so to each and every one throughout our municipality that volunteers, thank you. It's amazing what we can all accomplish when we put our shoulder to the wheel and don't care who gets the credit. These prestigious awards express council's appreciation of the many individuals and community groups who work to enhance the quality of life in Ashfield-Colborne-Wawanosh. We would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to everyone who has participated in this nomination process. Each nominee has demonstrated remarkable contributions, making the selection process incredibly challenging. For the group award, and we have a beautiful gift here that is custom made by Smith Welding in our municipality, and the Outstanding Community Group Award recognizes a community group for its outstanding volunteer contribution to the well-being of the community. It is my true pleasure and honor to recognize an organization that has not only transformed a building, but truly transformed lives across our rural community. When St. Joseph's Church closed in 2012, it left more than just an empty space. It left a gap in the heart of our community. Suddenly and collectively, a once vibrant rural area was without a place to gather, to connect, or to grow. There was a vacuum. And out of that loss, a bold vision took shape. The St. Joseph's Kingsbridge community was formed. By 2015, 10 years ago, they had secured charitable status and full ownership of the former church. With a massive community effort, and it was massive, the building was reborn as the Kingsbridge Centre. What followed is nothing short of extraordinary. It is an entirely volunteer-run organization, and the Kingsbridge Centre has become, again, a hub of rural life, a place for concerts, theatre, art galleries, education, and social gatherings. In April alone, There's 29 events in 30 days. That kind of an impact is a testament not only to the building itself, but to the people involved in it and behind it. Since 2015, last 10 years, over 740 individuals have raised over $1 million, contributing more than 7,000 volunteer hours every year. This is the kind of grassroots commitment that defines a true community. In 2024, Kingsbridge launched its most recent initiative, The Next Chapter, a pilot program of social, educational, and mentoring partnerships aimed at identifying and addressing the needs of our residents. This isn't just programming. This is community care. This is outreach. This is impact. This is resolve. So today, we proudly honor the St. Joseph's Kingsbridge community, not just for preserving a building, but for building a legacy of compassion, culture, and connection. On behalf of ACW, thank you for everything you've done and continue to do for our municipality. Congratulations to everyone involved in the St. Joseph's Kingsbridge community. And I would welcome a representative to now come, and I would like to make a presentation, and then we'll follow up. The second award is for the Individual Award, and it is a beautiful gift basket featuring local products from ACW. The Outstanding Individual Award recognizes an individual for their outstanding contribution to the well-being of our community. It is my absolute honor to recognize someone whose determination and exceptional leadership helped shape one of our community's success stories. When St. Joseph's Church closed its doors in 2012, it left more than just an empty building. It left a void in the heart of our community. As chair of the St. Joseph's Kingsbridge community, Jim Wawanosh has been at the heart of this journey from day one. He was instrumental in forming the not-for-profit in December of 2012, helping to secure charitable status by 2014, and guiding the successful purchase of the building in June of 15. An incredible 2.5-year process filled with negotiation, paperwork, and more than a few roadblocks. Since then, Jim's commitment hasn't wavered. For over a decade, he has prepared the agenda, managed every rental and contract, overseen every event as house manager, and handled the countless details that come with operating a registered charity. He's on every committee: finance, social, building, you name it. Jim's background in planning, backed by a master's degree, has been critical in navigating severance issues, building codes, and the complexities of dealing with the diocese and legal frameworks. But even more than his skills, it's his unwavering dedication that has kept everything running so smoothly. Many volunteers make Kingsbridge Centre what it is today, but Jim's unique leadership, knowledge, and perseverance in the face of adversity has helped make the dream of Kingsbridge a reality. Jim, on behalf of the Township of Ashfield-Colborne-Wawanosh, we thank you for your vision, your effort, and your endless hours of service. Thank you. It is with great pride that we present you with this individual award today. You've not only helped build a center, you've helped hold a community together. Let's all show our appreciation to Jim.
Wasn't prepared for this. Thank you very much for council, and thanks for the efforts of recognizing volunteers. Um, when we started this project, it was kind of on a hope and a whim that we could carry on the traditions that our parents had carried on before us, and as it worked out, that we have been able to do that. The second thing is the success of the center has been in part to the people who come and use the building. If no one came to use it, it would still be an empty building that we spent a lot of money on. And so to those that come and use it, please continue to do so, and it makes our efforts worthwhile. Thank you.
So we'll just step out into the foyer and Kelly will take some photos.
So we'll just pause for a couple minutes here.
So our meeting will now resume, and it's certainly great for us to be able to recognize organizations throughout our municipality. And as I commented, it's the volunteers, and thank you very much to everyone for what everyone does in your respective areas for the benefit of others and future generations. I would now like to welcome Phil Garriock to present to us on the conditions of gravel roads. Phil, you'll have up to 10 minutes. I think there'll be a timer that goes off at 9:30, and we welcome you and look forward to your comments.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Now, can we get set up? How do I get set up? I just got to get set up here. Oops. And then I got to hit that button, right?
Yeah, well, you can test.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll test it. Okay. Okay. I'm focused primarily on Dungannon Road because that's where I live. So it's right front and center for me, but I represent really the community of West Wawanosh from north to south, the east to west. And we are very unified in terms of our response to the conditions of the roads that we've experienced over the last number of years. Really, this spring has been really a problem. I have a short video. This is the kind of conditions that we had to negotiate this spring, and it's been very problematic. The pothole count is in the hundreds. Pothole sizes, we went out and did some measuring, up to in excess of 24 by 27 inches in size, depth 2.5 to 3 inches. In order to drive on this, 10 to 15 km/h. This is a class 4 road. Classifications of the road are based on speed limit as well as traffic volume. For a class 4 road, you're looking at 50 plus vehicles per day. Based on the number of active vehicles owned by the residents, we achieve that classification easily. We have 4 school buses twice a day. There's livestock trucks, feed trucks, logging trucks, tractor trailers hauling commodities, as well as farm traffic, combines, tractors, grain handling. So it's not an unused road. So the MTO regulations state for a class 4 road that it should be patrolled once every 14 days. The MTO publishes guidelines on the length of time allowed for remediation of defects of the road. Those are definitely not being met. So why is Dungannon Road in this condition? There's a lack of regular maintenance. There's no crown in the road. There's insufficient cross slope and insufficient shoulder slope. If we look at a cross section of a recommended gravel road structure, you will note that there is a central crown in it. The cross fall is about 4 to 5%, shoulder fall about 6%, with well-defined ditching on either side. This allows for proper drainage of water, surface water, and allows for the maintenance of the structure of the gravel road. Engineering documents in the United States and Canada recommend that the road should have a defined crown which subdivides the road into 2 equal halves. We do not have that. The cross fall or slope should be 4 degrees of fall, which equals 5 inches over 10-foot span. The shoulders should have a 6-degree slope and be free of obstructions. And cross fall, it's easy to measure. You just need a 10-foot steel pipe, 4-foot level, and tape measure, and you can come up with that easily. You can do the calculations manually, or if you need, there's elevation grade calculators online. So looking at these 2 diagrams or pictures of Dungannon Road, one prior to grading and one after grading, you can see the way it is. So what are the deficiencies? We don't have a crown. There's insufficient cross slope, as already mentioned, and the measured cross slope was 2%. This causes the retention of water, which will soften the substrate and leads to pothole formation. All you have to do is put your boot in mud and you'll see how potholes develop. The water on the road is the true culprit, and it's best controlled by using gravity as well as appropriate aggregate. So what we need to do in terms of change is we need a centerline crown. We need that minimum crossfall at 4%, and we need the shoulders to be graded to 6% and all the grass obstructions removed. So what about the substrate? The current substrate of the road has a very high concentration of clay. The clay forms a hard surface in dry weather travel, but it's very problematic in the spring when it's wet. It changes in plasticity. And I almost went in the ditch last spring because the clay, when wet, is like slush and it will drag you into the ditch. It's dangerous to drive on. So the one question I have of many is the aggregate being applied to the roads actually being tested for quality prior to administration to the road? And are those testing, if they are tested, does it meet the transport testing guidelines by the MTO? This is what it would look like after it was graded. So this is several days after grading. You can note that the level of gravel in the substrate is deficient. It has a high volume of clay, and the tire tracks have actually created a ridge down the road, which is primarily clay. This is unsatisfactory for a gravel road. So I bring up this concept of civil liability. I think this is something that council needs desperately to take into account. The degradation and maintenance shortcomings of our roads is exposing the residents and ACW Council to civil liability. The transition area between the pavement on Dungannon Road and the gravel section is extremely dangerous due to the high number of potholes that straddle the road. Residents and non-residents leaving the pavement in the dark at night are at risk of losing control. I don't think this is a matter of if it's going to happen, it's a matter of when it's going to happen. This area particularly needs to be smooth, regularly graded, with a very gradual transition from the pavement to a center crown. So what do we want? We want the ACW Council to show leadership in rehab and ongoing maintenance of the gravel road system in West Wawanosh. It's not just our road, it's all the roads. They're all subject to the same level of degradation, and it's become to a point where we have to do something. We would like to have a plan established and a published timeline so that it will settle our concerns. We want a centerline crown and a cross slope that meets the recommended standards for gravel roads in Canada. We want the council to reduce our civil liability risk in case of an accident causing injury or death. And I think this is the most important slide here. And I want you all to think about these. What if you were seriously injured and you had to be taken by ambulance over those potholes? How would you feel? If you have a fire in your property and the road conditions delay or hinder the response, how would you feel? Your horse endures a career-ending injury due to the potholes. This is also a very significant issue since we have a large Amish community in our area. It's also an animal welfare issue, and that is something that can stick, and the public is very sensitive to that. Also, if you have a friend or family member that's seriously injured or killed due to the road conditions, I want you to go and think about those things tonight. This is what we have to deal with on our roads. All we really want is a smooth road to drive on. And I think as a taxpayer, collectively, I don't think that's an unreasonable expectation. Now, I had some other information here that I had gleaned. So I wanted to talk a little bit about I can't think of the name, the grit engineering report. So from that report, the test holes that were dug and the tests on the granular A, they were found to be very deficient, low in gravel and very high in silt clay, greater than 8%. So the thing that I cannot wrap my mind around, this report was published December 21st, 2023, is why there wasn't any changes to the grading patterns to deflect the water that is sitting on those roads, knowing that it has a high clay silt content. The other thing is that in the summary fraction, it states that the clay and silt impairs drainage. So knowing that, I think there should have been some remediation done on our roads to counteract that. So why was there no real effort to drain the water? That's one question. Why was there sufficient remediation on those roads knowing that information? We got gravel, but I don't know who else did. So the other thing is there a logistical maintenance strategy going forward? And has it ever been published?
Thank you very much.
And I would like to know those things. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Appreciate your comments. Now, do any members of council, this is not a debate, if we have any questions for clarity to Phil on any comments. Councillor Miltenberg first, please.
It's more of a comment to Phil because I literally thought you were using my video from Tower Line.
Okay.
Because we're on the road that
Yeah.
K2 is and everybody drives on the dump. But I put an ACW coffee cup to show how deep it was in mine.
Yeah.
So I had a good visual, so I was watching for it,
Okay,
but it
okay.
wasn't. So it's not simply the former West Wawanosh ward, although it is magnified there. There's a few other areas that it is as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that. The one thing that I will say.
So to continue, sorry, you're
sorry.
not supposed to debate.
Okay.
But that, I'll let Glenn tell you that, but but thank you. So we did have a very fulsome conversation about this last week or 2 weeks ago. So some of your comments about your questions were actually answered, and I'll let Tom or whoever handle that. I do have a poorly followed page, Jennifer Miltenberg at ACW Township, where I took clips of Tom talking, and the questions are up there and his answers.
Okay.
But the thing that I really liked about yours, which I mentioned, but I'd like yours even better, was the need to publish it. Because we spoke at the last meeting about we need to let people know we have looked at this. We're aware, like we talked about the grit report and all that, and the drainage, we're going to try. So I will let someone else talk about that. But I think trying to publish the timeline of this is what we're planning. This is when we talked about it going forward. Like that was kind of what my post was kind of going. We know we're trying, but it's a systemic problem. And I didn't complain about it at the time, but ACW had a 0% tax increase for over 20 years. So we underpaid our taxes and the roads were not. So now we're trying to catch up. So it's also a budgetary thing. But yes, I've had lots and lots and lots of comments about, doesn't a counselor live on this road? Right outside front. So those are the comments that I would like to make to Phil. And I agree with you completely. And we are working on it. And I would like it to be more published. But I do have questions for Tom at the appropriate time, Mr. Mayor.
Right, thank you very much for that. And yes, we will discuss this further. Deputy Mayor Vanstone, please.
Yes, and I guess I'm like Jennifer. This isn't really a question. This is a comment. This is very important to all the people in ACW, myself included. And if we need to have a special meeting to discuss this and get a plan in order, I would gladly move that at the recommended time, because next Tuesday I know is open for everybody, so we could have a meeting next Tuesday. We could get something in place and work on this, because time goes on. Spring is here now, or at least I hope it is. And, this is the time when it starts to dry out that we should get something done. So that would be my suggestion to this council, is that we have a special meeting and do nothing but talk about these roads and get a plan in place. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And I will now go to Councillor Forster, please.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. I'd like to thank you, Phil. We had a discussion about this on the phone. I said, bring it here and let everybody see it. You're one of the greatest vets of all time, and I didn't know
I
you
wouldn't say that.
knew so much about
You're
roads.
very
so-
generous.
Okay, thank you, Phil.
No, thank you very much for that. And I concur in your professional abilities.
Thank you.
Yes. Any further questions or comments for clarification? Okay, thank you very much for this, Phil.
Yeah, I'm gonna get
And we will be discussing this further on in the agenda.
this now.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, okay. So we'll now move on to the Treasury Department. And 6.1 is the payment of the current accounts. And I would entertain a mover and a seconder to authorize this. Councillor Hickey, Deputy, and Councillor Miltenberg, that Ashfield-Colborne-Wawanosh Township Council hereby authorize the payments of the April 2025 accounts as presented. Do we have any questions on these numbers? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion? And that is carried. Thank you. 6.2 is the payment of the previous month's actual accounts, and I would entertain a mover and a seconder for these, please. Councillors Blake and Forrester, that Ashfield-Colborne-Wawanosh Township Council hereby approves the payment of the March 2025 accounts in the amount of $3,774,707.84. All in favor? Oh, now any questions on this? None? All in favor of the motion is read. And that is carried. Thank you. 6.3 is a summary revenue / expenditure reports, and I would entertain a mover and a seconder for these, please. Councillor Blake and Forster, that Ashfield-Colborne-Wawanosh Township Council adopts the summary revenue / expenditure reports as written for the Township, Lucknow and District Medical Center, and Lucknow and District Recreation from January to March of 2025. Are there any questions on any of these numbers? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion? And that again is carried. Thank you. 6.4 is the Wellington and Ashfield Street final leveling bylaw. We have read this. It has been prepared for us. It has been previously discussed and agreed on. It has come in under budget, which is really, really good to the initial projections. And do we have any questions or comments on this? Seeing none, I'll just ask for a show of hands for consideration of this in Section 18 as a bylaw. Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. 6.5 is a Dungannon Youth Group, the Capital and Community Partnership Grant application. And it is the recommendation that we adopt this by motion. And so I will entertain a mover and a seconder, and then we'll have a discussion on this. Moved by Councillor Miltenberg, seconded by Councillor Forster, that Council approve the request for the installation of a Gaga ball pit at Dungannon Park at an estimated cost of $2,500 with in-kind installation services to be provided by the Township staff. Do we have any questions or comments on this? Deputy Mayor Van Stone first.
Yeah, well, just a comment. I think they did very well. And if I read this correctly, they've already raised this money, so we're not really giving them anything except a pat in the back. Am I right on that one? No?
I will defer to our CAO, please.
I'll let Ellen, it's Ellen's report, so I'll let her explain.
Our Treasurer, Ellen McManus, please.
So back in 2021, the Dungannon Youth Group donated $2,000, and it was earmarked for the Gaga pit. And at that time, the donation was lumped in with the other donations for Dungannon Park that went towards the gazebo. And this was discovered just this year when we were going back and looking at the reserve. Admittedly, I didn't really know what a Gaga pit was, and I think it just, I just assumed it was a regular donation. So what happened in 2021 is the township had approved our contribution of $15,000, and we ended up contributing, $2,000 less because the youth group's donation was lumped in there. So in principle, yes, they have raised the funds, but the funds are not sitting in reserve. So it would be coming from the township's general reserve.
Okay, good with that, $2,500. Councillor Miltenberg, please.
Yeah, so when I look at this, and I'm, by the way, fully in favor of this, just questioning the numbers. So they raised 2,500, but there's 4,000 because of our in-kind, correct? Is that where the discrepancy in the numbers is?
Thanks for the question. Ellen, please.
That's correct. The in-kind amount was taken from the quote received from a playground supplier. Speaking with Tom, our cost probably won't be that high, but yeah, that's the discrepancy between the quote and the amount requested is the installation in kind.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I understand it because I was integral to that when it was happening, and I knew what a cock-up it was and all that. So my comment more stems from the fact that because we're looking at our capital grants policy and the amount that we actually give per year, that the 1,500 or whatever it is that we do for in-kind also be included, so we actually have a real idea of what we're spending every year when it comes off at a different time. That's all. All right. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Any further questions or comments on this? Okay, we have the motion, and that is to contribute to this Gaga pit. All in favor of the motion is read. And that is unanimously supported by council. Thank you. Under 7 in planning is a delegated consent for April of 2025 for information purposes. Do we have any questions or comments on this? 8, under building department, first is the chief buildings officials report. That is for information purposes again. Do we have any questions of Joy on her report? Seeing none, thank you very much for that, Joy. And continuing on to the community on-site septic inspection program that Joy has provided for us, again for information purposes. Do we have any questions or comments on this report? Yes, Councillor Miltenberg first, please.
The question is more, it was actually, if I'm recalling correctly, Counselor, I forget her last name, it's Snowballin, Anita's, was the one who was requesting this because she had some questions about it. But now that's on the agenda, if she has questions, she can just contact Joy directly because she's ill today. Is that how we would handle that?
I think that would be very appropriate, CAO. Do you have any comment on that, please?
Unless we want to bring it back, I'm thinking it probably should come back to the next meeting because I don't think staff can guess what her.
Yeah,
That was kind of,
yeah,
I wondered
we're-
if we should bring it back since Anita was the one who wanted it on the agenda.
Sure.
I mean, we supported it, but was her request, as I recall.
Yes. Yes, and that would be, the direction to staff would be to put this on a future agenda, hopefully the next one. Clerk, would you be okay with that?
Yep, that by a show of hands, if we could defer this to the next meeting, that would be great.
Exactly. So I'll ask for a show of hands from council if we would like this to come back to a future meeting, hopefully the next one. And that is supported by council. Thank you. No further questions for Joy on this. 8.3 is the on-site septic inspection program and the missed inspection fees. Yes, CAO first, please.
Sorry, I thought we were on section 8.3. 8.2, I don't know if we need to bring that back. I think that was just the yearly report. I think it's just 8.3 we need to bring back.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. It's on the Dungannon, that pump failure. Did that cause issues or?
I'll thank you for the question. I'll defer to staff for a response, please.
So this would be the precautionary that was issued last month. For whatever reason, the pump got locked out when the chlorine got low and they had to go manually reset it. And when you stop pumping, you lose pressure. And then when you have negative pressure in your system, you have to declare a precautionary.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Any other further questions of staff on this? Seeing none, I thank you. With nothing under drainage, public works, 12.1 is as requested, the cost of the super pull. Do we have any questions or comments? Does that suffice the queries? Okay, Deputy Mayor Van Stone first, please.
Yeah, and thank you for this, Tom. But anyways, that's the equipment, and we have no charge for the labor because the guys, but that stuff all goes to our dump, does it not? It goes to theirs? Okay, good. Thank you very much for that.
Okay, any further questions or comments? So I will ask for a show of hands if we are in support of proceeding with the support for the Dungannon Super Pull. And that is supported by council. Thank you very much. Thanks for this, Tom. 12.2 is a tandem plow truck. We've all read this. It is available very, I would suggest, economically at this cost. And I would entertain a mover and a seconder, and then we'll have a discussion on it if we're in support of this. Councillor Miltenberg and Councillor Forster, excuse me, that Ashfield Council approved the utilization of the Canoe Source Well program to purchase a new Western Star tandem truck with Viking Sieves plow equipment from Viking Sieves Limited in the amount of $416,081 plus HST. Questions, comments? Councillor Forster first.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. I know we've got international in the past because the dealer's right here. So where is the closest Western Star dealer for like warranty work?
Thanks for the question. Tom, please.
I believe it's London. I think the warranty work might have to go up through. No, I believe it's London, yeah.
London? So like that.
I'll have to double check.
Okay, thank you.
The CAO, please.
Premier Truck Group of London for Western Star Trucks.
Okay with that, Councillor Forster?
So like that's not an issue then, or I know here's handier, but you're gonna get a truck that much faster, correct?
Okay, thanks for the question. Tom, please.
So this is not something that I usually do. I've never purchased anything through Canoe before. The reason I'm considering it here is because of the uncertainty with the cost, the uncertainty with the delivery time. Normally you put a tender out, you get what you get back in, and then we come back and talk about it. The Canoe Sourcewell people are supposed to have done the tendering for you, and you take that price, and it's the same price everyone else gets, and then you accept it. It has been used by most municipalities in the county. I haven't used it before, but I think given this situation with everything as it's going on, it's worth considering.
So another question. We used to have, I think it was Colburn. I can't even remember the kind of truck. It didn't stand up well. Like the wiring system didn't take the balancing. Is this truck, I can't even remember the name of it, but is this truck like well built? No, just, thank you.
I don't know which one either. All of the trucks are tandems. We've all vehicles can behave well if you treat them right. So I would hope that Western Star is well built.
Okay, I'm good with that. Thanks.
And this is with the volatility of the situation south of the border in potential tariffs. This really mitigates our risk and exposure by doing this. And it is my understanding that Western Star is a very highly respected company, and this is a recommendation that's been brought forward. Any further questions or comments? CAO, please.
Just in case some council members didn't catch in the report, it is over. It's a shortfall of 28,400. So over the budget. Just want to draw that attention. I don't want any surprises down the road.
Thank you for that. Any further questions or comments? We have a motion that's been moved and seconded. I've read it. All in favor of this motion? And that is carried. Thank you very much. I know it won't take long. We're on 12.3, and that is the gravel roads update report. And I would welcome any questions or comments for Tom. It's a fulsome report. I thank you for that on behalf of council, and we'll now open it up for any comments or questions. And I will go first to Councillor Miltenberg, please.
Yeah, Tom, thanks for the report and for all the work you're doing and for sending a grader down my road today. My question is more to Phil's presentation. And I think Phil's a great vet too, but when I'm given facts in that, I want to know the source and if that's correct. So my question's about that. Is that a class 4 road? Are Phil's calculations correct? And are his comments about need correct? Because there was a lot of information given as fact, and I'd like to know if it was a layman's interpretation of facts or if it was actual facts.
Okay, the question goes to Tom for your comments, please.
If Phil is still here, I'd like to thank him for coming in. Not often do you get people coming in with like well-reasoned, researched complaints. Usually you get cursed at driving past down the road. So thank you very much, Phil, for coming in. I brought a copy of the maintenance class for the entire township. And if you go to, as we discussed at the last meeting and Phil discussed, it's Ontario Regulation 239. It tells you how deep the snow is allowed to be before you have to plow it. It tells you how much of a lip on a sidewalk you're allowed to have. So he's gathered information from that and information, I guess, from American regulations. So if anyone wants to see the maintenance classes, that'll be here, and it's also going to appear in the roads needs study, which we're completing this year. As far as the design of the road, one of the major components when you're designing the road, when you're putting a crown on the road, is the material that you use. If we go through the grit report, most roads, if all of the roads that were tested failed, most of them have twice as much by volume of clay. So that leads to a lot of complications with trying to resolve the problem. And yes, you end up with a lot of potholes. As he noted, it's very mucky. The picture, I believe, is at the bottom of Dungannon Hill as you go through the swamp. Probably under the road is, like, if we all know what a corduroy road is, it's probably stacked with sticks under the road. And I imagine if you went to the design standard now, it would probably say, don't build your road on top of trees, right? You'd require geotextile. So I loved Phil's report, and I look forward to talking to him. And I think the most useful thing that I could do is sit down with him and maybe some of the guys and go over why we're doing the things that we're doing, what can be helped, what we're trying to do to improve things, and what council's trying to do to improve things as we go.
Okay, thank you for that. And just before I go back to you, Councillor Miltenberg, I agree. I wish that Phil's presentation was very well prepared. I complimented him on that, and I wish he was here to hear this discussion also, and he can watch this later. Councillor Miltenberg, please.
Okay, two questions from that. Actually, a question and a comment. The comment, first of all, is a great reply, Tom. And should you wish to sit down with Tom, but I think, not Tom, you're Tom, the other one, Phil. Should you wish to sit down with Phil, that's great, but it's not Phil's duty to tell everybody else who's upset about it. It's kind of ours, right? So explaining it to Phil is one thing, but explaining it to everybody is a different thing. And I think we need to make efforts at that. And like, we've done some of this stuff and nobody's aware of it. Like, we're having a roads, like, when did we initiate that? That would be, I think, a valid post. We know we've started back here. This is the issue. And this is, going forward, it's not a quick fix. We've said it here, we've tried to get it out, but I think we have to be a little more aggressive in our messaging. And the second point was actually a question, and it's just for my own curiosity, because the first time I ever heard of class roads was when you mentioned a 5 and a 6, and now he says a 4. Is there some easily found explanation, and what kind of road am I living on?
Okay, thank you for that. Tom, please.
Yeah, your road's right here. So in the 239, there'll be a big chart, and it'll say how many people drive down the road and what is the speed limit on the road. And then it tells you how long you have to address the situation.
Okay, thank you for that. Follow up, Councillor Miltenberg, please.
Yeah, so my question about that report is, how often is it updated? Because Tower Line has become exceedingly more traffic now that K2 is there, and it's with very heavy machinery. So unless they've done it since they became operational, then perhaps the class of the road, and maybe other roads too, like, how often do they say what class of road? How often do they check traffic on it? That kind of thing. And the weight of the traffic these days, the machines really do damage.
Okay, thank you for that, Tom.
So we're doing our roads needs study every 5 years. It'll be on there. As far as the average annual daily traffic that goes down the road, does a Ford Fiesta count the same as a fully loaded triaxle truck? Or do horses get counted? Do buggies get counted? Not all of the traffic is equal, right? So if you're on a road that's got a industrial farm on it, maybe it's going to have some more potholes with heavy equipment pounding the road down in the spring, right? I don't know if that answers anything or if I'm just carrying on.
Thank you for that. Councillor Milberg, please.
It tells me that you thought of it. I'm not sure if that, like, how, short of putting that little thing that beeps when you go into a gas station, how do we know what the traffic is? And what do we know what the weight of the traffic? Like anecdotally, if you live in the area, you could tell me, but how do you know, Tom? And I'm not saying Tom, but you know, someone who's not on every road to see it. Like my road is poorly traveled until Saturday, and then everybody drives on it on Saturday because they're going to the dump, right? So, and then there's massive equipment some days because K2s bring it, and some days nothing. So I don't even know how you would quantify that, but it tells me you're thinking of it, so that's great.
Thank
Yeah, I just had Wayne had his microphone on, so I shut it off.
Right. Yep. No, thank you for that. Any further comments? I'll go to Councillor Forrester next, please. And just before I do that, when I mentioned that I wish Phil was here and all other residents that came to express a concern on this, I hope they're able to watch this discussion subsequently, because it's not just one person, it's everyone. Councillor Forrester, please.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. So this was brought up to my attention. You mentioned corduroy roads. So when you go to drain that, are you going to be like wrecking that? Or how deep are you going? I really don't know that much about it.
Thanks for the question. Tom, please.
So in the budget for this year, we've got $80,000 to do improvements on Creekline. If we look at Creekline, you'll notice that while the A layer, which is the first foot, has 20% clay by volume, which means that 20% of that road is clay, and it doesn't have any gravel, let's say any, 93% passing your first two sieves of gravel. So the gravel that you do have is tiny. So what we don't have is a binder course to keep the integrity of the road. So that means when it's wet, it can act like a liquid. You get high deflection. And I'm getting off topic.
No, you're not. You're right on. Please continue.
You have the next layer is your B layer. If you look at the sampling for most roads, your B layer is not that bad. So I've got a pliable top layer with a half decent bottom layer. If I can get the water to stay out of the top layer, then hopefully we can, like in the report, it mentions adding 4 inches of gravel. So if we can keep the water out of it and try and get the spec more up to standard, the hope is that we'll be able to grade it without it turning to mush. Creekline's been graded 3 times this spring, and possibly it ends up worse each time we grade it. Yeah, so when you have clay and you mix it around in your hands with water, it turns into slime. It acts like a liquid. When you vibrate clay that's wet, it acts like a liquid. So it's hard to keep a shape on a road that's not made with the materials in the Ontario provincial standards, even though, like, you can say just shape it right and the water will come off of it, but if it's not built out of gravel, what are we doing? The idea is that you drain the water before it gets up into the B layer, keep that dry, increase the coarse aggregate in the top layer, and then try and make the road more like, I don't get calls and complaints. I have the same graders and grader operators running one road on the east side of Lucknow Line as the west side of Lucknow Line, and I get complaints from one side. So that tells me, is there something else going on? Is it just as simple as telling the graders the grader operators to grade it right and you won't get potholes? I don't know. Is that a bad answer?
So like you're not getting anywhere close to that corduroy, right? I don't know how deep it's down, but
If you go and look at the side of the road and then you go look at the bottom of the ditch, your trees will be somewhere down there. They're waterlogged and they've been freezing and thawing and they're gonna poke up into the road. The reason that we're doing drainage first instead of pulling all the gravel out is because I can put in drainage on half a creek line for $10,000, or I can pull all the gravel out and replace it with brand new stuff at hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And what am I doing with all the old stuff? And it's not as simple as just pushing it into the ditch and flopping new material down. Sorry, I hit the mic, people at home.
okay. All right. I think I'm good now. Thanks.
Well, Tom, you're very enlightening in your comments. And as Councillor Hickey said in a previous meeting, you inherited this issue. You did not create it. And it is up to this council to provide the direction to yourself and to your staff to address the situation which you're doing. And when you talk about drainage first, everything's a process. And you're talking about what you feel we should start doing to address the situation. And that's exactly what we want to. As Councillor Miltenberg said, we need to improve our communication on this to the residents. And your comments were very insightful, and I'm sure it would be to everyone as to the situation. And when you talk about drainage first, 4 inches of gravel, if it would be, and you commented about yearly maintenance moving forward to address this, and council will support you in this, I would suggest, in whatever you feel is the correct process to address this. Councillor Miltenberg, please.
So to that point, could we ask staff to come back with all the things that we've already looked at? Like, we are doing a road service. We already put in the budget. It was actually last year to try the drainage, and we put in more this year. Like, we've been aware of this problem and we have been taking steps, but we haven't told anyone we're taking those steps, right? So it would be easier to say, yeah, but we are looking at it and this is where it's going. Like, I think the absence of the knowledge is almost as dangerous as the road, because if you don't know that someone's trying, then that makes you angrier, right? So that would be my request, and then we could share that wildly and widely, and just try to get the message out more than just to the people that were here. And I know they're just a small portion of the people who are interested. Trust me, we get lots of phone calls, so.
No, you're absolutely right. And this issue just didn't come up today because of the presentation. We have been addressing this in the past. We've had the discussions with Tom on this. So I think if I could kind of provide a little, Councillor Hickey, please.
Thank you. I got a couple comments and questions.
Please.
And we're talking about the tile, the sub-base tile with outlets as needed. Talking to people in Huron County and Huron Kinloss, they've tried it, and I've been on board. I want to state that from the start. I've been on board for 2 years while you've been talking about this tile in the roads. Talking to Huron County and talking to Huron Kinloss, they both say they've tried it and it does not work. So from your experience of having it in the past, what material were you draining from your previous employment that it did work? Is there a comparison that we're not seeing here, or why did it not work in our surrounding area? Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Councillor Hickey. Tom, please.
That's a good question. So firstly, this isn't something that I just drew up and thought for myself. Like, we secured a geotechnical engineer to come in and give us advice on what could be done. I think for the cost involved in trying the drainage, it doesn't hurt. If it's a massive failure and doesn't work, you haven't spent a 20th of the percent of trying to completely reconstruct the road. So if we go ahead and you're concerned that it doesn't work, the investment is much, much less. We're trying to economically find a solution first, and then if that doesn't work, as talked about in the past, we can go ahead with a full reconstruction. I would really look at spots like possibly the Saratoga Swamp. We might have to remove everything, lay down a geotextile or a geogrid, and then float the road through there. But I know everyone's frustrated with potholes at this time of year. In 2 weeks, they're going to be graded up. I would suggest that council really consider trying to do this as economically as possible.
Okay, thanks. And a follow-up, Councillor Hickey, please.
It's a new question. on that.
Totally.
Just a question on training, and I know we talked about this. I drive tractor trailer, and sometimes you can try all you want, but until you have somebody say, "Have you ever done this?" And it's so much easier. It's just the little ideas, the little things of the job to do it a lot easier. Have the guys had the opportunity to have a previous operator in to talk to them, or go to a school or something else, just to give them those little tricks of the job that make it so much easier than trying to figure it out themselves?
Okay, thank you for the question on training, Tom.
Yeah, I guess first of all, I don't want to portray myself or any of the guys as unwilling to listen to advice from anyone. And if anyone comes in with an idea, I'd love to talk about it. The operators are sent to a gravel road school in Guelph where they are absolutely taught the proper crown and the proper shouldering and the proper materials to put on the road. I think that a lot of the operators with a lot more experience absolutely we have things to learn from them. And I'm not opposed to having a sit down with somebody and going over what they think might. I'm always trying to improve the way things are operated in the township. Anytime someone wants to sit down and talk about it, I'd be open to it.
Thank you for that. You're good at that. Deputy Mayor Vanstone, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this has been going on for quite a while. So the last couple of weeks I've been driving the roads. There's shoulders everywhere. The water can't get off the road. So we haven't been pulling the shoulders in. Like if you go along a road, you'll see it's 2 to 4 inches along the shoulder. So that water can't get off the road. So we need those shoulders taken down, brought in, got rid of, and we need, a lot of this stuff done. So if it takes training, I don't care what it takes. As I said before, this is a problem we need to solve. So if it takes another meeting or whatever it takes to get this done, and I don't want to see it go on, like as Mr. Hickey said here, it's been on for almost 2 years. And I'd like to see a deadline put on it of, say, 3 months, we come up with a solution to this and get it done. So if we have to get the training for the guys, let's do it. If we have to put a couple, instead of every second year putting gravel on there, if we have to put it on every year for 2 or 3 years, let's do it. But let's get it fixed, because it's not just West Wawanosh. I went back to the Little Lakes the other day, and I couldn't go over 30 kilometers an hour or my truck would bounce off the road. So it's all over the township as far as I'm concerned. As Jennifer said, she's got a road up there with potholes in it. So let's do this. I think it's a priority for this council. So, and as I said, if it takes a special meeting to do it and just do nothing else but talk about this, let's do it and get some like a criteria in place so that we can go through this, and then we tell the people, okay, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to do it in this length of time, and we're not going to let it go a year. We're going to get it done. So that's just my comments, Mr. Mayor, and I hope we can get this solved. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. Tom, do you have any comments you'd like to share on that, please?
So the guys in the spring go over the shoulders with a reclaimer, pull the gravel back in. I realize there is a lip in places. The comment on more gravel. If you've got 20% of your material in your road is clay, and you have to bring it down to 8% at the max. That means if I've got 1 foot of gravel, I have to more than double it, and you're still not within the spec, right? So adding a little bit of gravel will eventually get it. It's not going to get it in 3 months, or it's not going to get it in a year. This is many years that it's going to take to address it because it was put in for many years. If I could solve it quickly, I would.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. You inherited the issue. It hasn't just happened. The winter, the spring has accentuated. When you spoke about the clay, when it turns to water, it's challenging to get a crown on that when it'll just kind of flatten out again. So you're dealing with a variety of things. Deputy Mayor, please.
Thank you. And I'm not saying this will be done, but I think this council plus our ratepayers need some kind of criteria so that, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and if it takes 2 years, but at least we're fixing it. That's what we need. We need something that we have well, as I say, looking at the light at the end of the tunnel. We need to know that this is going to get done, because if, as you say, yeah, you got to put a foot of gravel on it, but you want to put a foot of gravel on it, you put 4 inches a year until you finally get it to the point. And if we get the shoulders off it, we get the crown on it, we get it to where it should be, every little bit helps, and it will make it better. And as I know on one particular road I see a lot, one of the biggest problems are right now, we're not getting to the bottom of the potholes. And so we got this much pothole left. So the first car down the road pops that out, and then we got a pothole. So we're going to have to do some major work and get some graders in there. And that's why I'm saying, I don't mind paying for training if that's what we need, or equipment. Say we need I don't know if we need a ripper, whatever we need. Let's do it. Let's get it done and get it fixed. Thank you.
Thanks for that. Tom, any comments?
Yeah, that's perfect. I love that. So we have short-term goals and we have long-term goals. As we all know, we're looking at expanding the Reed Farm pit. When we get into that, we'll be able to utilize, it's right in the area. We're able to select the size of aggregate that we want to put on the roads. This has been going on since I started, certainly. Council's put money into trying to look for a solution every year. I think that we do have long-term plans to address all the roads in the township. I have no problem with working on some sort of, I know Mr. Garriak wants to schedule. I've got no problem working on like rough guidelines for what we're going to do. But no, I do. It's nice to talk about.
You're right. And you have a plan. And I think that's very, very important. We need to articulate that plan, be it the drainage consideration, more gravel, that sort of thing. And I think the clay content is very, very important. I'd like to go to Councillor Miltenberg and then Councillor Hecky, please.
And so I'm going to agree in principle with what Bill said. I think that, yes, we want to get it done. We want to do whatever needs to be done. The part I'm uncomfortable with is the 3 months or as fast as possible. I think that Tom has a plan. What it is, I think we'd all like to know, and he's going to work on guidelines. And if we have to have a special meeting when he gets it all together, I'm open to that. Tuesdays, I will have a little redhead with me, Bill, so maybe not Tuesdays. We're not all free Tuesdays. Yeah, I think to echo you, it's simply relaying the information, because some of these questions and comments we have already talked about. So, but we haven't effectively communicating it. And when things are really bad, like they are right now, the light at the end of the tunnel is really important, but I think we need to do it in a really calculated fashion, because if we end up having to rebuild the roads and every single one of them, we're talking millions and millions and millions of dollars, and I don't think taxpayers want that. I, as a taxpayer, don't want that, right? So if we have to, we have to, but it's gonna be long and slow, so, but let's have a plan. Like, that's why years ago, we started publishing or making it available anyway, like, what's the 5-year plan for the road or the 10-year? And I'm aware that my road isn't on the 50-year plan, so if we had a 50-year plan, so it's okay, because I know that at least, and that people have talked about it, and every 5 years, if that's what you said, how often you review those roads, like, it is looked at again. We don't talk about it, never talk about it again, right? So I agree with everybody. I just think that we need to wait for Tom a little bit to come back with some more, and I really would like the timeline of what we've done so far, so we can publish it and say, coming forward, we will be publishing a plan or whatever it is, so that at least they feel, they, as in we too, feel heard, right?
Yeah, very important. So Tom, I I think we've covered a variety of things. One is we'd like to improve our communication. I'm speaking to all of our staff on this, to our residents on the background, just like you've shared today, and it's very enlightening as to why we're in the situation we are with the roads. And also, I think that we would like you to keep us informed as to the progress that is being made. And I mean, it doesn't have to come back to every meeting, well, nothing has changed in 2 weeks. However, just keep us informed so that we as a council and also the residents know something's being done, and I'm trying. You know, you feel the drainage is where to start. You know, nothing ventured, nothing gained. However, our sentiment is very clear that we want to address this, improve it, and we look to you as to the process to do that and to increase our communication. Does that make sense? Councillor Hickey, please.
Just one question for Tom, and it might be easy, it might be hard, I don't know. We have our hopes on the Reed pit. Is there an estimate of when the first load you hope to come out of that pit, so we know what we're working with if we do have good gravel to work with? Is that 2025 or beyond?
Thanks for the optimistic question. Tom?
So we've done the 1-year water table study. We've done the archaeological study. We've done consultation with all of the indigenous groups. We have yet to do the environmental study, which I believe is the last study. We met with Bob Gibson in Wingham 2 weeks ago to go over the application. My hope is that we will be utilizing the pit next year, hopefully. Every time I think I'm getting forward momentum with the application, it seems to like drag and drag. There's a lot of hoops to jump through.
Yeah, thanks for the question and the response, and I'm actually quite encouraged that it may be 26. Councillor Forster, please.
Okay, thanks, Glenn. I've had numerous questions about the gravel from this year. Where exactly is it coming from?
Thanks for the question. Tom, please.
I've got that in the tender, which is in my computer. It's 30,000 from there's the Cunningham pit and I'd have to look it up. There's the one pit up over here and then the other pit over there.
So West Riley won the tender, right?
Yeah, but the
Teeswater.
material's still coming from
Here.
here.
Okay.
So they are crushing and hauling. The material's coming from within the township.
Okay, so like just down the road here.
Yeah, there was another comment about whether or not, and I'm really sorry for taking everyone's time up.
No, don't apologize. Continue.
There was a comment about do we get the samples analyzed before we put them down? Yes, we do. It's included in the tender and we get a copy. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Another question, like a fella came in, do we have a ripper? You put it on behind the grader, correct?
Thank you for the question. Tom, please.
So the cat grader we just got, I'm assuming he's looking at that. We purchased a packer to go behind that. When we put fresh gravel down, hopefully it's not so loose. We'll run a truck over and it'll be packed as it's applied. So you're not losing a bunch of fines. Can you use it if you're grading really wet material? No, you flush it out.
He was talking about like loosening more up. Like I take his teeth thing. He thought we had one. We don't then, correct?
To my knowledge, no.
Okay, thank you.
CAO, please.
So I looked up Tom's tender, 14,000 tons come out of the Johnson Brothers Cunningham pit and 34,000 comes out of the Johnson Brothers Mole pit.
Okay. Deputy Mayor, please.
Yes, and if we've got any questions about this gravel, it can be tested. Coming from a gravel background, so if we're getting from John, and I can't see any clay in Johnson's pit because I know it's good gravel, but do we ever have it tested to see the clay content or the fines? Mainly it's the fines that give us the problem.
Thanks for the question, Tom.
So when you do a sieve analysis, you can see that there's two components. There's your gravel portion and then your sand portion. If you want to go further than that and see if it's like superfine sand or clay, you do a hydrometer. So we just get the gravel portion and the sand portion done, and then we don't, as long as the percent passing is less than the 8%, we don't bother with the hydrometer.
Okay, thanks.
And the testing is very, very important. That's what we want to the quality of the aggregate that's being applied. Any further questions or comments of Tom on this issue? So I think staff are clear in the direction from this council that we want to address it. It's a process. We want to improve our communication and improve the condition of our roads. And we'll look to updates, Tom, as you feel appropriate to keep council updated, okay? Yeah, Deputy Mayor, please.
Yeah, I'd like a time limit that when the report's going to come back. So if it's coming back in 2 weeks, that's fine. If it's coming back in 1 week, that's fine. But I don't want it to go further than 2 weeks because, and I'm sure, I know Thomas is very good at doing reports, so I'm sure he could have it ready for us in 2 weeks because, as I keep saying to everybody, we're into spring, we're gonna get into summer, and the first damn thing we know we're gonna be into fall. So I'd like to have this decided and you know, have a path forward by that time. So I don't know if Tom can have it in that length of time, but I would like to have a time when this comes back. Thank you.
Thanks for that. And just before I go to Tom, I'll go to Councillor Miltenberg just as far as when you feel that an appropriate time frame to update council on this would be. Councillor Miltenberg, please.
Yeah, I think Tom's probably feeling the heat to get it done as quickly as possible, and we can be assured that he will. I don't think we need to put it 2 weeks. I think he'll bring it as quickly as possible. I think what we could do is on the next agenda have the timeline of what's been done, and that would lead to a natural question. How's that report going or whatever, right? And if he can get it done, he will. And if not, then we'll know where we're at and what he's waiting for. Does that make sense?
Okay, Tom, so do you have any time frame that you would like to share at this time or just come back to us when you do have something as far as an update on process?
To me, what makes the most sense is if we're doing the roads needs study to include a report with that. If you want something in 2 weeks, if I could get some more direction on what the reports to look like, that'd be great.
When do you anticipate that the roads needs study would be completed?
They're supposed to be out in May. So they complete it in May. You're not going to get it back until June.
Yep. Okay. Clerk, please.
In hearing the conversation It sounds, and I think Tom's suggestion is right, that the fulsome aspect of this should come with the roads need study when it's ready and available, hopefully in May. But in the meantime, June, ready, when it's ready in June. But in the meantime, during every meeting of council, when he has the activity report, there be a status on the condition of the roads, you know, how are the potholes being managed, that kind of thing, so that that council is being made aware of where we're at in terms of how things are drying up. Because obviously, you know, we're not going to be able to replace the B level between now and June. So as long as everybody's being made aware of the status and that things are being looked at and taken care of, and then once, or at least we're working towards that, and then come June, when that roads need study happens, that road need study will show where the priorities are, and then council can work on direction as to which ones will get what needs first.
Yeah, thank you for that, clerk. That makes absolute sense. Deputy Mayor, please.
Okay, but I guess what I'm looking for is what is going to be done before June? Like, that's what I'm looking for from you. So I'd like to see, okay, we are going to pull the shoulders in, we are going to do this, we are going to do this. And then when the needs study comes in, we'll have that much done to do this. So that's what I'd like to see, is a step by step. And maybe you're going to do that for us. And if you are, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, Tom, do you have a time frame as far as when you would hope that the drainage and, as Deputy Mayor commented, shoulder work and that sort of thing on these roads?
I think it's a great idea to include it in the activity report next meeting, and then we can go through what has been done in the last month and what's planned for the next month, and then give a big chunk of information when you get your. And again, I am really sorry, everybody, for taking all your time.
No, Tom, this is a priority to this council. So the time aspect is immaterial. No, we want a fulsome discussion for our residents. They have indicated that they want to change, and that's what we're doing. Councillor Miltenberg, please.
A comment to Tom, and then a question, I think, or a comment. I can't remember. I'll remember when I get to it. When I campaigned to get on council 3 terms ago, I talked about all the things I didn't want to do, and one of them was listen about roads and drains, because I don't care, but I would try really hard. And this is the first time I've been fascinated by it, although last time was pretty good too. I think I'm far more interested now that I understand what's going on. So keep talking, Tom. You know I'm a talker, and that's the most words I've heard I use since I've met you. So keep on keeping on.
Thank you for that. Yeah, and Tom, your knowledge of this is what we appreciate and would like you to share, not only with us, however, the residents. And yeah, we'll address it. Councillor Miltenberg?
Yeah, I remembered my question. So it was to Bill's comment about a special meeting. So when the roads report thing that you said comes back, if there's a need for a special meeting, you'll let us know, or otherwise we can just do it in the middle of the meeting, correct? We don't have to arbitrarily call one necessarily, correct?
I think, Tom, I'll ask for your response on this.
I think I'd look to council's direction on when they need to call special meetings. Personally, I think I would put it in a regular meeting, and then you've got tons of time to go over it. If you feel the need to have someone else come and, if we need to bring someone else in for whatever reason, that can also be done during a regular meeting.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to incorporate it in your report at our regular meetings, and let's try that, and then go from there. Councillor Forster, please.
Okay, thank you. I had a chat with North here in Reeve yesterday, and the end of our conversation, he says, all people want is a good road to drive on. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
And that's exactly what we want also. Absolutely. Okay, fulsome discussion. Thank you very much to everyone for your input, and Tom for your sharing your knowledge on this, and we look forward to addressing this situation and improving it. Okay. Committee reports under 13. Does anyone have any committee reports that they'd like to share? I will go to Councillor Blake and Miltenberg first.
Yeah, thank you. Just an update on the Ben Miller Hall Committee. Everybody's been working really hard and to raise funds for that playground project. So As of my discussions with some of the members yesterday, $38,317.40 to date, plus a $5,000 in-kind donation if the project goes through. A barbecue and an ice cream separately. Barbecue and ice cream fundraisers are scheduled in May. I don't have the dates off the top of my hand, but they'll be posted on the Ben Miller Hall community Facebook page. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Blake. Councillor Miltenberg, and then Deputy Mayor, please.
Yeah, I met with the Petrie Park Committee, and they have a fulsome list of events planned, which will be, I told the person writing everything down to get in contact with Kelly, that she could promote them. And their minutes will be coming, actually, I think they're having another meeting this month, so soon. And then if there's any questions about all the items, we could talk about it then. And just a reminder, the fish fry tickets are on sale at St. Helens. If you haven't gotten them and you forgot like I did, this is a good reminder.
And the date of that is?
June 14th is
Thank you.
pretty sure.
Yep, thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
June
Yep,
14th.
June 14th is the date of the fish fry. Deputy Mayor, please.
Yes, thank you. And the reason I'm doing this is I hope the two people that volunteered their time, there was two gentlemen showed up down at the parking lot of at the Ben Miller Hall, and there was a terrible pile of limbs and stuff down. They picked up all the limbs, they put them around the bases of the trees so that the parking lot could be used. So, and we haven't picked them up yet, but I know Tom's got that on his agenda. But anyways, I hope they're watching this, and thank them, because I don't know who they were, but they did a good job. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for that comment. And again, volunteers that we spoke of earlier, how they're so much appreciated. Any additional comments? If not, I would like to share that Huron County Economic Development Committee organized a Thrive Conference in Blythe last week that Councillor Miltenberg was at the first day. I saw Councillor Snowblin the second day. And it was a great conference. It was 8:30 to 4:30. The first presentation was It's Not the End of the World by Brock Dickinson. And that was really, really good, talking about it's easy for individuals to collectively think the world's coming to an end when it's probably not. It's an opportunity to change the way we're doing things. And when we talk about the administration south of the border and the impact that it has on us, it's like sleeping with an elephant. So what do we do about it? We mitigate the risk and we explore opportunities. And hopefully as a society, we won't forget what was applied as far as tariffs, and we need to be more encompassing within Canada. Ontario, yes, and within Canada. Take down the interprovincial boundaries largely that are in place today. We need more processing. Purchase Ontario products, and they're available. We just need to look at them and support ourselves. So it is not the end of the world. Brad Turner's dad owned a garage in Bayfield, and rather than being a mechanic, he sought productions. And he's actually a director of various movies. He's worked with a number of very, very well-known individuals, lived and traveled the world, and he talked about the opportunities of filming, and especially as it relates to within Huron County. It's easy to say, and he did a lot of work in LA, however, Toronto going north to Barrie, people can come west also, rather than 2 hours north, 2 hours west. And he has done some filming in the Bayfield area. And when he did that, the actors, yeah, okay, well, we'll go, yeah, that's how you get there. They got there, and then they said, this is amazing. And they stayed extra days on their own to enjoy Huron County. And there are opportunities to do more filming in Huron County. And again, that comes back to my original comments. It's not the end of the world. We can attract more business and commerce to Huron County, and we all benefit. Rick Sickinger had a report on tourism, and it was very enlightening from the standpoint there are a lot more tourists come to Huron County for different activities than we ever realized before, and they're able to track that now, whether it's the G2G trail or other activities, and it is very, very informative. Emily Bailey talked about AI, artificial intelligence, and it's here. It is being utilized and needs to be utilized in a very, very disciplined way. It can be effective, and it's a matter of managing it. The second day was focused on well-being, and there were a number of really, really good speakers. There was a panel that was made up of Inspector Ryan Olmsted from the OPP. Marg Anderson was on the panel. Brad McRoberts is the CAO of Huron East. Lynn Higgs, the Chief Nursing Executive for Huron Health Systems. Pam Summers has been very involved in immigration, and she was on the panel. Laura Rourke from Huron Perth Public Health, and Kristen Crane from the United Way. And they fielded a number of questions, and I think the take-home message is that it's okay not to be okay, and to communicate that with those that can help. And we never know what someone else is dealing with, and to be kind. There was a great presentation from the keynote speaker, Pete Bomka, and he was a founder and CEO of GenWell. It was sponsored by Bruce Power. And he talked about being mentally healthy and looking out for one another. Gwen Devereaux made a great presentation from the Gateway Center of Excellence, and there were take-home messages from Leith Deacon, spoke about building strength for a thriving future. And it was a conference on the second day that was all about the well-being and caring for one another and each other. And it was, again, to those councillors Miltenberg and Snowblum that attended, thank you for that, and I hope you also found it worthwhile. Anything to add to that, Councillor Miltenberg, please?
Yeah, thank you. I have all these notes and forgot to read them. So I only was able to go the first day. I had that little redheaded kid the second day. But I was really happy to see Kelly from the Township there taking copious notes as well, because a lot of it was about getting your story out, getting your message out. The top 5 digital marketing trends I thought was really good. I have a lot of notes on that, and I noticed Kelly was taking them too. The one guy had a cool phrase. I think it was the first one, Brock Dickinson, and he said, when he was talking about the messaging on social media and that, he talked about the chaos monkeys, where they put so much stuff out, you're going, I don't know what's going on here, and you just kind of give up, and how to get your message out in amongst all of that. So I thought it was just excellent. It was really, really good day one, and I would tell you all the tips and tricks, but Kelly got them too. So yeah, that's what I wanted to add. Thank you.
Thank you for that, and Kelly, thank you very much for your attendance both days and your filming of it. And it was noticed that you were there on behalf of ACW staff, and we thank you very much for that. Communication, we all know, is so important, and our communication in our municipality has improved thanks to yourself. So thanks for what you continue to do. Anything else? Okay, we'll move on to 15.1. Correspondence for direction would be the first item. It's regarding a Hamilton Drain Court of Revision, and this council has been asked to appoint a member to sit on this, and I would look to council for any direction on this. Councillor Hickey, please.
Thank you. I would ask you, Mr. Mayor, if you'd be interested.
Yes, I could do that if that is the will of council. Yes. Councillor Forster, please.
If you can't make it, I'm willing, but.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Miltenberg, please.
If you can't make it, I'm unwilling.
And here you just told us your interest in roads and drains. Okay, so I'm going to ask for a show of hands from council if it is the will of this council that I would sit on this, and if I can't, then it would be Councillor Forster. A show of hands, please. And that is supported by council. Thank you. Correspondence for information. We have the Maitland Trail Association 50th anniversary. The strong mayor's powers, and I I made that sentiment because this is something that was directed by Minister Flack to a variety of municipalities that have over 5 members on council. And it's very broad-based powers. And he is offering it to all municipality. I think there's 169 of them. However, it would be up to the council as to whether they exercise that right. Councillor Miltenberg and then Hickey.
I'm really against strong mayor powers, and I'd like to opt out. I mean, at our last meeting, we had people who want the ward back so they can have more of a say in their mind. And now we're gonna, I think no one would be surprised if I said we as a council don't always agree, but we do come to a consensus. And to have one person override a consensus means, why are the rest of us here? And I should also mention, I never want to be a mayor and have those powers. Like, I think that's horrific. And I think that actually is step one to getting rid of lower tier municipalities, as far as I'm concerned. But beyond that, it's so anti-democratic. I think it stops input. It causes division. It goes against collaboration. Like, what does it matter if you and I agree on if he's going to override it? Not that you would, but like, think about the person you most disagree with and make them the mayor, with the ability to override you no matter what you say. Like, and I know you're all looking at me, but still, I think it's horrible. And I was under the impression we couldn't opt out, but I'd love to opt out. That's my comment.
Okay, thank you for that. I think the clerk has a comment to make on this, please.
So just to be very clear, the direction from the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing is that it's for council's 6 members and more. It is very specific to advancing provincial priorities. So right now, the priorities have been articulated for housing, infrastructure, water, those kinds of things that are needed in order to move housing projects forward. In a real circumstance at council, it could be as simple as a subdivision agreement. If there's a piece in there that is contentious and it could, delay the start of the construction, there is the opportunity to either, the mayor has the right to either veto or push a 1/3 majority with the mayor included in that vote. The discretion, council can't opt out. It's been made law. May 1st it's effective. It's up to the mayor to decide whether or not to act on those. So, I mean, it's quite frankly, with this term of council, I don't see anything happening, but it's unknown into the future as to what that would mean. And also the provincial priorities can change. So those powers are in place for whatever the provincial priority is of the day. Ontario is now the only province in Canada that has a strong mayor mandate, whereas historically it's always been weak mayors. Local government is known for its collaboration and it's working together to get consensus. This defies that principle. It's interesting times for sure. It's not just about vetoing and, it's about appointing members of staff. It's about rearranging staff members and how they operate. Also to that end now, if there was ever a vacancy in the position of mayor, council can no longer just appoint a mayor. It must be an election, must be a by-election. So it's a little bit interesting to understand, what the reality of that is and how it might actually advance housing and push development is questionable. I don't believe that it's the members of council that are sitting at the table are the ones that hold things up in principle. It's the broader agencies that are required to do their jobs as mandated by the province that hold things up. Anyway, I'm becoming a little too opinionated on this, so I should stop.
No, you're not too opinionated. You're bringing knowledge to us on this matter. Yes, thank you for that, and please continue. Councillor Miltenberg and then Councillor Blake.
Yeah, and I'm going to try to talk very little about it too, because I go anti-democratic immediately. But I would like to point out that this was presented as a fact to councils. We were never asked. He did it when he started. There was 2, and that was a pilot project. We never got results of the pilot projects, and then he gave it to the big cities. Didn't ask them. He was speaking at Good Roads a week before it was announced. He didn't mention it then. And the mayors, because I asked several of them, got an email that it was happening on the days that the news was told. So there wasn't really a lot of input into whether it was necessary or not, or even, I would say it was a real lack of respect for the mayors and the councils that were sitting, because you weren't asked, you never asked your opinion, and you heard about it when the general public did. I heard it on the news. That's why I heard about it. Like, if it was a pilot program 2 years ago, pilot programs generally give you data that you can share and ask opinions on. That didn't happen. So I am supremely unimpressed with this, and I want that on the record. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. Councillor Blake, please.
Yeah, thank you. I've read a lot of articles over the past few days about different municipalities reaching out to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, respectfully requesting an opt-out clause. I'd like us to join them in doing that and reach out and, like I said, respectfully request that clause. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to defer to our clerk because I'm going to make a comment, and that is I have no intention of exercising this opportunity. It is not, I just have no interest. We have a great council that I value everyone's input on, and we have difference of opinion, and that's when you get the best outcome. And when we take a decision, we support that decision. It's the majority decision of council that everyone supports. And collectively, we absolutely operate that way. So I have no interest in exercising this. Clerk, process, please.
So again, it's not something that council can decide on today, right? Like, you can't say we don't want to do it because you don't have the legal right to say no. Again, the mayor has the right to say no, that they choose not to. But again, that's very arbitrary and very, definitive of the mandate of the mayor of the day. I think if council wishes, I can prepare a motion for the next meeting articulating the request to have an opt-out clause of some form be embedded in the legislation. I can certainly work on that and have that for the May 6th meeting for your consideration.
Yeah, so CAO, please.
I'm frustrated as well with Jennifer's comments too, that this all came so quickly. Like, I think the letter was dated April 9th and they asked for comments no later than, I can't remember.
April 17th.
Yeah, and it's just silly in my mind, but I'm wondering, the motion about opting out, I'm wondering whether we can, I'm aware that this is coming into effect on May 1st. I wonder if council wants, staff could probably send a letter, their opposition towards this to get the ball moving. I'm hesitant to wait. I'm not, and I appreciate Florence's comments, the clerk, on the draft resolution, but however, I'm afraid our next meeting is until after May 4th or May 4th May 1st when it comes to place. So I think time is important here, and maybe we should reconsider something.
Okay, and yeah, I'll look to others for process. I'm never one, the government, Premier Ford and the ministers, and in this situation, Minister Flack, will make the directives they do, and it is what it is. It's not. They didn't. Oh yes, there was a comment period. It was not extensive, maybe to achieve a lot of input. However, yeah, I have no interest in pursuing this. Further comments, Deputy Mayor first, and then the Councillor Millenberg.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with Mark. I think there should be a letter sent immediately, not sooner. And I'm quite confident that our staff can relay our sentiments to the minister. Thank you.
Okay, additional comments, Councillor Miltenberg?
Yeah, I agree with Bill, and I think they'd probably put it better than I would. So more confidence in their words than mine.
Okay, clerk, please.
To that end, what I can do is we'll draft the letter to the minister, and then I'll provide a copy to council at the next meeting. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I'm going to go to Councillor Hickey.
Thank you. I agree with all the comments here about the situation. My question is, can we just have a vote or a show of hands or something even though the province says we're allowed to do it, can we make an agreement amongst this table to say it will not be done? Even though the rule up above says it can be done, can we agree and have a bylaw or something amongst us to say that? Or is that allowed?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Clerk, please.
So bylaws can only take place where there's authority to do so. There's no authority for council to say the mayor can't do it. The mayor is the only one who has the right to be able to say whether they're going to veto or not. So right now, it's the Glenn's statement is a political statement, right? There's no, all of our bylaws and all the rules that we act upon are based on some kind of standing legislation that requires us to do so. There's reading the strong mayor powers, they're there. And then the strong mayor power is written right in the legislation specific to those who have it. And it's the regulation that determines who has that. So, I mean, for council to agree that the mayor's not going to do it, if Glenn decided tomorrow that he was going to veto a plan of subdivision agreement, council has no authority to say no to that.
If I did exercise the strong mayor's powers. Yeah, correct. Yeah, council or deputy mayor, please.
Okay, and I talked to a mayor who has already declared that he will not participate in it, and that's all you can do. So if our mayor, and he has said that before, but he could say it again, that he has no intentions of participating in this particular thing, and then if he does, you could go back and say, well, you've kind of went back on your word.
Yeah, I agree to that. Councillor Miltenberg, please.
Yeah, so I agree with, and I have another comment. Gosh, they just keep flying out of my head. Yes, I think that Glenn, if you believe that to be true, then it would be prudent to declare it now and after May 1st when they, shove it through or whatever. I also think that it behooves every citizen in this municipality at election time, whoever's running for mayor, ask them to say, do you agree with it or not? And then the council can ask them to say it on the first day or whatever. I think it's really important that as citizens, we watch our own rights. And darn, I had the question, now it's gone again. All right, that's it.
No, I'm going to give you a chance to catch that, and I'm going to defer to our clerk as far as process. Do you? Okay, and I'll just look to you, clerk, as far as process with this letter and wording and that sort of thing. Councillor Miltenberg, please.
Because it does have to do with the process, I'd like for you to call for the council to put their hands up. So in that letter, it could say unanimously decided we don't want it. I know we've all said it, but I think it behooves the hand raising.
Okay, thanks for that. I'm going to defer to staff.
I would suggest a resolution, then we get that resolved and put that through. Florence, are you good with that or not?
I was going to ask for a show of hands of
okay.
extreme opposition to this, and based on that, I will make sure that sentiment is made very clear in the letter. If that's, because I mean, the action of council is to direct me to make that letter. So I just don't want to sit here and write 10 whereases while we're waiting.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will ask for a show of hands from council if we have no interest on behalf of this council of exercising the strong mayor powers in this term. And that first, Councillor Miltenberg, comment.
As opposed to no interest, can we say something like a real strong aversion? Like make it stronger?
I'll defer to our clerk for wording, please.
So this is what I've got kind of drafted right now. Council requests that staff prepare a letter addressed to the province on its opposition to the newly imposed strong mayor's powers. And further, that a copy of the letter be placed on the next council agenda for information.
Is that fair? Okay, again, show of hands if we're in support of this direction. And that's supported by council. And
I will do my best to articulate this sentiment.
Yeah, we don't need to make enemies. However, the direction needs to be clear. Okay. Anything further on this? I would like to back up actually to a 16-1, and that is the Maitland Trail Association. We've read that. They have a 50th anniversary. It is the 14th of June, and they've requested attendance by the mayor or designate to attend and bring some comments. to that. It's going to be held at the Knights of Columbus, and I would represent council as your mayor if that is your wishes at this. They don't have a time on that. However, I did want to back up on that. There needs to be a registration. Is council okay if I attend this on our behalf? Okay, staff, you'll look after the registration for that, please. And we have other sets of minutes. Anything else under correspondence for information? And if not, unfinished business is on Friday of this week is the Huron County Municipal Officers Association meeting. That is being held in Clinton at Libro. I believe Councillor Miltenberg and Councillor Vanstone and myself are planning to attend that. It is from 9 until 2 at Libro on Friday. And the AMO conference in August, Councillor Miltenberg and myself. We only have one bylaw today, and I will entertain a mover and a seconder for the levying of the Wellington Street and Ashfield Street reconstruction project, please. Councillor Miltenberg and Forrester, that leave be given to introduce bylaw number 27-2025, being a bylaw to authorize the final leveling of the Wellington Street and Ashfield Street reconstruction projects, and then it now be read severally a first, second, and third time, and finally pass this 22nd day of April 2025. All in favor of the motion is read. Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. We do not have a closed session today. I would entertain a mover and a seconder for the confirmatory bylaw, please. Councillor Hickey and Blake, that leave be given to introduce bylaw number 28-2025, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Township of Ashfield-Colborne-Wawanosh Council meeting held on April 22nd, 2025, and then now be read severally a first, second, and third time, and finally pass this 22nd day of April 2025. All in favor of the motion? And that is carried. And a motion to adjourn, if you would, please. Councillor Hickey and Forrester, that Ashfield-Colborne-Wawanosh Township Council does now adjourn to meet again on the 6th day of May at 9 a.m. or at the call of the mayor. All in favor of this motion? And that is carried. Thank you very much to everyone for your thoughtful input. Staff, again, for your input and comments today. Thank you.